And welcome to week number 5 of the MEA Prototype Challenge. I'm SSR Mayhem. At tonight's action here in Indianapolis, as we cover the race, we've got about 12 to 15 drivers that should be showing up tonight. Just stay tuned and we'll get things underway here momentarily. Alright, so now we're going to get ready for the race lobby to get set up. Now the drivers should be coming in here, so once we get them in here momentarily, we'll get the lineup set up for tonight. We'll go over all the drivers who are here and possibly talk over the point standings and what that looks like heading into tonight's race. And right now, Forza looks like it's giving me a little bit of a hard time. There we go. That's more like it. So as the drivers come in, we'll get tonight's race set up and ready to go. Tonight we're racing at the GP circuit, the Classic circuit. Of about 38 laps, 39 with the pace lap. Might be starting a little late tonight, but should be getting up and ready to go here momentarily. Got about 14, 15 drivers, I believe, ready to rock and roll here tonight. Should have everything correctly ready to rock and roll here as we get ready to go green flag racing. Got to get the grid set up, and as soon as we get all the drivers in, we will do that. Pole sitter Markey is not in here yet, but we do have F4H Scottson, who will start in the second position. And this is what the grid looks like here tonight with SSR Markey starting the pole. Second starting part would be F4H Scottson. Third on the lineup is supposed to be SSR Moseport, but not here as of right now. So that moves Golly Drift up to the third position tonight, unless Mosport ends up making the race. Starting in the fifth position would be HCR Yuko. HCR Yuko starting in the fifth position. Right behind him would be SSR Nick T, who is in action here tonight. Has missed a couple of weeks, but is back in action. So we'll be glad to see Nick T run. SM Senpai, now known as M&R Fujiwara, starting in that sixth position. Right behind him, in the seventh starting position, will be Eric Speed. Eric Speed, showing a little bit of speed the last couple of weeks, kind of in his name, so we'll see if that momentum carries in. SSR Monster, who's still yet to show up, supposed to be starting right in front of TX3 Topher, who will start in the ninth position. Right behind him would be SSR Envy, who's not here once again tonight. Ricky Bobby, right there. Right after that, GT 500 Wills. As it's our monster making his appearance in, so we got him in there. Right behind Wills will be Lucas McMees, but it should be Speed Bump 96, who's not here. Lucas McMees starting in the 12th position, and rounding out the field with no qualifying time would be HCR Daytona. And that should be it for our 13 drivers here tonight. We will find out momentarily, though, how true that may be, as I still have to get confirmation from the marshals in that. So once we get confirmation from them, we will know. It looks like we have everybody in here ready to rock and roll. So we'll be going green flag here momentarily. Just give it a couple minutes here, but while we wait for the drivers to get that confirmation, this is what the... Well, we will go over this timeline here in a minute. So when Monster readies up, we'll be ready to go, but this is what the point standings looks like. On top of the board, winning the first 2 races of the season, if I can get the point standings to appear here. And here we go. The HCR Yuko on top of the point standings with 190 points in the first position. Right behind him, he would think he's a surprise, but has been very consistent, running all his times through, is TX3 Topher in the second position of the point standings. He's had 1 top 5 this season, 4 top 10s. He's with the 1 podium. He's about 28 points back out of the top spot, so he's looking to make his self known here tonight. And the drivers are ready to go, it looks like. So all the drivers ready up. Before I continue, we will get that first pace lap. So 1 pace lap, then green flag. Right behind TX3 Topher will be SSR Markey, last week's winner at Hockenheim, looking to go 2 for 2, starting off the pole position here tonight. So SSR Markey with 1 win, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s. He's missed a couple of races this season, but he has 162 points, tied with TX3 Topher. So those two are actually tied, but with TX3 Topher, who's been in most of the races, who puts him above the point standings. In the 3rd spot, BMNR Fujiwara. And I actually need to get myself out of this race, so hold on 1 second. I guess the spectate mode wasn't ready yet, but that's okay. So there we go. Fujiwara in the 3rd spot, or tied for 3rd. Actually tied for 2nd, or no, he's actually 4th, with 158 points. And rounding out the top 5 in the point stage will be HCR Daytona, who started to tail the field. He's had 1 podium, 2 top 5s, and 3 top 10s this season with 150 points, with about 8 points difference between him and Fujiwara. Scottson, who's down in the 9th spot in the point standings, has only been in a couple of races this season, likes what's going on, looking to make his case known tonight. And if you're just tuning in on the Mixer chat here, I do have the chat box down in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Welcome to all who wants to talk throughout the night. And if you also want to know, our YouTube channel is up and running here tonight as well. So go check out the MEA Online Association YouTube page. Check out our brand new video and audio quality. It's been very great. It's very well done. We gotta thank SSR F&G, who put in the time, put in the money and the effort to make this possible for us to have a nice channel for YouTube. So if you see SSR F&G, tell him a good job. Appreciate what he's done, and a great staff member here at MEA. So we're about to go green flag racing here momentarily. So we'll move up the field here, and we'll start with the 3rd starting spot, SSR Godly Drift. So here we go. 13 drivers, week 5, points pretty close between the top 5 cars. Actually, if you go back a couple more than that, it's pretty close there as well. TX3 Topher having to start a little bit further back, about the 9th spot. And here we go. 38 laps, 13 drivers. This is what you came to see. Green flag was in the air, and SSR Markey will lead the field here, lap number 1. And you see the difference between the Porsches and the Diesels right there, the Peugeot and the Audi. One driven by F4H Scottson, the other driven by HCR Yuko. Scottson side by side with Godly Drift, exiting turns 1 and 2. Scottson to the inside of Godly Drift, going to take over that 2nd spot right back after Godly Drift's great start with the Porsche. SSR Markey with a nice lead so far heading into turns 4 and 5. And right behind him, SSR Nick T. Something happened with HDR Yuko. Must have fallen off the pace, so he's actually dropped back to the 7th position. But second in the point standings driver, TX3 Topher, right in 6th place, right behind Fujiwara. So we go back up to the front now after Yuko's little mistake there. Garley Drift going to the inside of F4A Scotson. Scotson holds the line though. And you just see it right there. Garley Drift is going to put all kinds of pressure on F4A Scotson. That's not what Scotson wants to see. He wants to be able to get some momentum as he tracks down SSR Markey. But so far so good. Looks like all the drivers have made it through to lap number 1 without any problems. And as I say that, I bite my tongue. GT500 Wills in the pit road. Lucas McNeese and Eric Speed. Looks like they fell off the pace. They're racing for 11th and 12th right now. Eric Speed with a new paint job. We go back and check that out real quick. And he put a lot of time into that this week. Looks very good, but early incidents drops him way back into the pack. We go back up to 3rd and 2nd. SSR Golly Drift still all over the back bumper of F4H Scotson as they round, it looks like turns 5 and 6 here. SSR Markey with no one in sight to challenge him just yet. Probably feeling really good after lap number 2. And so far, pretty much the same story. We'll go check on how HDR Daytona's doing. He's up to the 6th spot already. Started from last, so far got a mid-pack here early in the race. And the 2 Nismo drivers battling it out. GT500 Wills back in pit road, getting the 2 pit stops out of the way, looking to go to distance. And just like that, HDR Daytona will take over the 6th position. Or 5th, I'm sorry. HDR Daytona get on that long straightaway, can catch up as SSR Hick T is right in front of him. We'll go back up to the front now and see how the three lead cars are doing. And Golly Drift is now falling off pace to F4H Scotson, and it looks like Scotson is now catching up to SSR Markey. HDR Yuko back in the 12th spot now. Looks like he took a first pit stop and got it out of the way after early incidents here in this race. And it looks like between 2nd to 5th, it does seem like these drivers are starting to gain a little ground on SSR Markey. Another driver we should keep an eye on here tonight, MNR Fujiwara. He's also battling in the point standings right now. He's in the top 5 of the points, looking to make his presence known. Driving that Nismo, just like HDR Daytona. If we go further back, it looks like we have a battle for 7th, 8th, and 9th. Looks like Ricky Bobby and SSR Monster. And TX3 Topher, not too far off of those guys. SSR Monster is looking. Ricky Bobby trying to hold position now. Move back up the field a little bit. HCR Daytona is now catching up to SSR Nick T for the 4th position. Daytona is driving in the 109s right now. It's got a lot of speed. As they enter 1, he goes to the inside of SSR Nick T, but nothing there. Has to hit the brakes just a little bit. Nick T putting on the blocks now. Only time will tell if he can keep in front of that car. And Nismo goes to the inside. Nothing there again. Nick T holding his lines, being steadily, not letting Daytona rattle his cage. Daytona currently the fastest car on the racetrack for 109.9. Right now, he is catching these guys and trying to pick them off one at a time. Here comes the speed. HCR Daytona, SSR Nick T. Daytona to the inside, coming off of the final turn. He gets to right in front of SSR and Nick T and will take over the 4th position. He is on a mission, ladies and gentlemen. HCR Daytona, starting last, has already made his way inside the top 5, and he race leaders here, and lap number 8 and 9. Nick T gets loose. Managed to hold on to the car. We move further up the field. SSR Markey looks like he's losing a little ground with his lead as Golly Drift and Scottson are starting to gain ground on SSR Markey. You know, at the beginning of this race, it looked like Scottson was a little bit rattled early on. It looks like now he's got all the confidence in the world, and he is really starting to put some laps down here as he's tracking down the race leader. And Golly Drift must have had a really bad section the last few turns because he actually looked like he went off the pace a little bit. And if you look further in the distance off the front of that straightaway going to turn 1, you see the red machine, and that's the number 23, Nismo of HCR Daytona. He's tracking these guys down very, very quickly. Wonder how much longer it will take him if he could continue running those quick laps, continue running consistently, that he could possibly get up there and challenge for the lead here tonight. The Nismo was supposed to be the heavy favorite, but the Porsches have shown that they are just as strong here. And Scottson trying to show everybody that this Peugeot belongs right up there with him. And riding on top of the roof now with HCR Daytona. Currently the 4th place car is right there. You see him catching up to these 3 leaders right now. If you're just tuning in, this is week number 5, the MEA Prototype Challenge. I'm SSR Mayhem bringing tonight's action, and we are witnessing an interesting race here. HCR Daytona not qualifying this week, had to start from the rear of the field. He about lap 2 or 3, a couple of cars had instances, nothing major. But he's able to get himself up to the front, and we're only a quarter of the race done so far. And HCR Daytona with the quickest car on the track, as he should be, and that Nismo is starting to really gain ground on the top 3 leaders. And further in front of them, F48 Scottson is now tracking down the leader of SSR Markey and has gained quite a bit on him the last 5 to 6 laps. And the first car a lap down, GT 500 Wills. I'm sorry, he'll be the second car. Lucas McMee is the first car lap down so far in this race. Scottson trying to get around Wills. Wills staying down low. Two Peugeot drivers. TX3 Topher, the other one, as well. Gonna make three. Golly, Drift just barely squeaking by Wills there. Scottson losing a little bit of ground from the beginning of that last lap, trying to get around Wills. Didn't really help him too much. He had to go on the outside. Wills was staying down low. That gave Golly Drift an opportunity to a little bit catching up to. It looks like Daytona might have had a little bit of difficulties as well. But he's on the way still. And he is coming hard. And Wills goes off the tracks! Late braking by GT 500 Wills. He managed to hold on to the car, but no damage done. And we'll drop further back and see how the other drivers do. We'll go to M&R Fujiwara. All alone. Ricky Bobby right behind him in the 7th position. SSR Monster still trying to track him down. Eric Speed in the 9th position. HCR Yuko in the 10th. Wondering where Yuko is going to end up. Believe he just took his 2nd pit stop, so he should be able to make it on the green. TX3 Topher sitting in the 11th position right now. One of the 3 drivers in the Peugeot. 12th would be GT 500 Wills. We just saw him almost go flying off of turn number 1. As now SSR Nick T in the 5th position is now looking to get around him. And rounding out the top 13 cars, or I should say the whole field, would be Lucas McMee's right there. And Lucas McMee's off the track a little bit. Not one of his best suited cars for himself, I should say. But out there giving him his best, and we're glad to have him. Wasn't sure if he was going to make it tonight. Back up to HCR Daytona now. Daytona, he's coming. And you see 2nd and 3rd right in front of him. That'd be Scottson and Godly Drift. And not too far in front of them would be SSR Markey. You see all 3 of them there just coming off the final couple turns. And this is where Daytona gets all of his momentum. And he's just blistering with speed. You see how fast the car picks up coming off that turn. And he is just pounding that car down the straightaway. And he is catching these guys very quickly. I would say another 2 to 3 laps, we might see him on the back end of Godly Drift. And Godly Drift still working on F48 Scottson. He seems to get a little bit closer every once in a while. And Scottson figures something out, gets back on track, and pulls away. And they're still catching up to SSR Markey. Markey has not gotten away from these guys yet. He's been out front all by himself. But he hasn't been able to really distance himself from the 2nd and 3rd place cars. And with HDR Daytona on the way, only a matter of time tells what these 4 drivers can do. It's pretty much a 4-car race at this point. And it's good. It's exciting. And who knows what might happen here. And looks like Godly Drift is possibly going in the pits. And he is. Godly Drift is now in pit road. And so is HGR Daytona. Two of the top 4 drivers entering the pits here early in this race. It looks like SSR Nick T now will go to the 3rd position as he stays out. That gives F48 Scottson a little breathing room from from SSR Godly Drift, as Scottson has made gains on SSR Markey. Markey has not been able to distance himself, and Scottson's pretty much been under fire since the first few laps of this race, and he's been able to manage every bit of it very well while catching up to Markey. And gotta wonder here what these two drivers are going to do. You gotta think both have a couple pit stops coming up. Might be making them here very shortly, but you see F48 Scottson's really just getting Markey through that last section there. As they come off the turn, Markey's going to enter the pits, and so will Scottson. These two drivers are going to pit here on lap number 16. And that probably will bring in SSR Nick T. No, Nick T's going to stay out and take the lead. So SSR Nick T will be your new race leader heading to lap number 17. So your new race leader, SSR Nick T, wonder how long he'll stay out on the track. That puts SSR Monster in 2nd. He also stays out. Eric Speed as well. So those 3 drivers all stay out as they still have to take a pit stop. So you got to wonder how long these 3 drivers are going to stay on the racetrack. SSR Markey right behind them out with Scottson, Golly Drift, and Daytona. So all the top 4 drivers are out on the track again, back in line. Daytona looks like lost a little bit of time, but not too much, so he's okay there. Markey, back to him in the 4th position. And we got a battle for 2nd between Eric Speed and SSR Monster. These 2 drivers still yet to take a pit stop. And Monster will go in the pits with Eric Speed as well. So those 2 drivers enter the pits. And Nick T as well. So everybody has made their first pit stop. And Daytona flying on by there. And so far, I should say, it's been pretty clear who the top drivers are here tonight. HGR Yuko, though, has made his way back up into the almost the top 5. He's in 6th place right now. He's tracking down Nick T. Not really sure if Yuko actually made that 2nd pit stop or not yet. I would assume he did. Well, we'll be finding out here within time. As he's now tracking down Nick T. We go back up to the front of the leaders here with 2nd and 3rd place with Godly Drift, Scottson, as they continue their hunt for SSR Markey. And you see Daytona there, right in the background. He is on his way, but looks like he fell off of pace a little bit there after his first pit stop. And 19 laps to go now. Getting up to some lap traffic again. We'll see how the rest of the pack's doing here, and after the first cycle pit stops, Lucas McMee is the only car a lap down. We do have a pit stop, but TX3 Topher actually, TX3 Topher in pit road for the looks like the second time here. So Topher looks like he'll be good the rest of the race. So nothing to worry about there. You see where Daytona is on the race map. He's just coming off the final turn, heading onto the front straightaway. And Markey now getting into lap traffic here. And Golly Drip looking to the inside. Scottson holds him off. And Scottson side by side with GT500 wheels. That's TX3 Topher as well. Two cars looking to go a lap down here. And Topher going one lap down now after his second pit stop. So lap traffic now becoming a factor here at lap number 21. If you're just tuning in, this is week number 5 of the MEA Prototype Challenge. We're about halfway almost, or if not over, I'm sorry. SSR Markey, your current leader. F48 Scott's in second place, now working to try and get around the lap down car of TX3 Topher. Right behind him, SSR Godly Drift on the way as well. And HCR Daytona back there in fourth, looking to try to spoil these guys' parade as he is flying up the front straightaway after starting dead last. He's on a mission. And you see Markey got a little bit of distance now on Scottson. You see Golly Drift there right behind him. And Daytona now having to go through the lap traffic. So we'll see how he handles it. He's still got a little bit of ways to go here to get to those guys. And if we bring up the race map, you can see how far back 5th is. And that's Nick T right there. Fujiwara back at 6th, 7th, Ricky Bobby, 8th, 9th. HCR Yuko did make his final pit stop, so he's currently in the 10th spot. He's the final car on the lead lap right now. Monster and Eric Speedsel going at Ricky Bobby and Fujiwara, 6th and 7th. Looks like they might be going at as well. Daytona now up on the back side of TX3 Topher, who is trying to have a good showing here in today's race, keep him up top of the point standings, or I should say second in the point standings. He's still trying to get in front of HCR Yuko, both driving diesels. HCR Yuko in the Audi, TX3 Topher in the Peugeot. And HCR Daytona trying to get the quick Nismo up to the front as quickly as possible. He goes to the inside of TX3 Topher now. Topher just getting out of the way, letting him on by. and get a kind of a view of what he sees. You see right there, the white car in the distance right in front of Daytona is Godly Drift. And with 15 laps to go, Daytona's going to have to make some moves here. He's going to need to drive the car as steadily as he can. This is not the best section for this car, but these straightaways are where this car is thriving right now. And Godly Drift back up again. He is working on F4H Scottson once again. They get side by side. Godly has to hit the brakes just a little bit. Godly Drift to the inside. Side by side. Scottson laying off the... And there he is. Godly Drift finally getting around F4H Scottson to take over the second position. And now he will try to work on SSR Markey, his teammate. Scottson trying to stay in the draft with Godly Drift, but Godly gets a little loose. And Scottson doing everything he can to try to get back around that car, but you see HCR Daytona is coming. And Scottson to the inside of Godly Drift. The Porsche with a little bit of acceleration will get right back in front. Scottson looking to the inside. Scottson holding the inside line. Godly losing patience, but now he's on the inside line and he will maintain that position back. Scottson looking, trying to find a way around Godly Drift right now. And Godly Drift currently the fastest car on the track with 109.7. So Godly Drift is the fastest car on the track, but there goes Scottson back underneath, trying. Scottson with another big run on Godly Drift. And Scottson to the outside. Godly Drift side by side entering turn number 1. Godly holding an inside line, trying to guard every bit of this driver he's got to face. Scottson doing everything he can to get around the other. And Godly, late break! Scottson to the inside! Nothing there again! And lap down car, Lucas McMee's right in front of these two. Godly gets a little loose off the exit. Godly still loose, the car is now sliding! He maintains the car though, but this is not what he wants to see. Scottson right behind him, entering Australia. Scottson's already got a big run, looks to the outside. As they enter 1. Like Markey a little off pace as well. Nine laps to go. Well, 11, sorry. And Scott's now a little off pace. But now he's caught right back up to Godley. HDR Daytona, who is charging hard, has not been able to get himself back up here yet. And SSR Markey in pit road. Godley drift to the race lead. F4H Scottson in second. So they'll stay on the racetrack. And Markey in pit road. Daytona will now be the third place car. Monster and Eric Speed, 9th and 10th, right behind Daytona. They're lap down. About 8 cars still on the lead lap. With 10 laps to go, not sure if Daytona is going to be able to crack this and get up there to race alongside Scottson and Godley. And now we're down to 6 cars on the lead lap. Fujiwara trying to fend off Ricky Bobby for 6th. Or 7th, I should say. Godley drift entering pit road. Scottson will stay out and become the new race leader here in lap number 30. Markey and Godley both made pit stops, their final. 9 laps to go. F4A Scottson able to go a lot farther than the other drivers. Same thing with Yuko, Topher, I believe GT500. And Ricky Bobby looking to the inside of Fujiwara again, nothing there. And Ricky Bobby all over Fujiwara for the 7th position now. And Ricky Bobby getting a little loose. And here's where Fujiwara is going to get away. It seems like once it gets to the straightaway, if Ricky Bobby isn't able to get there, that Fujiwara is going to be able to get away. And making his final pit stop, F4H Scottson in pit road. So Godley drift actually in front of SSR Markey. Not sure what happened. But Godley drift is in front of SSR Markey, and something happened to SSR Markey, and HDR Daytona is now up there too. And F4A Scottson now exiting pit road. Side by side, going into turn 1, but Scottson couldn't hold it. And Godley drift, your new race leader here at lap number 31. Now F4A Scottson has got to work on Godley drift. Godley drift has been the fastest car in the last 10 laps on the track, but Scottson's been able to track him down almost every single lap that Godley's been in front of. HDR Daytona not too far off into the distance now. Daytona's going to have to make a really big surge here, and if SSR Markey wants to get back up to the front, he's going to have to get really consistent here these last 8 laps. Riding on with Godley drift, you see we're on the rear view camera. F4H Scottson right behind him. You see Daytona right behind Markey coming off the final turn. And Golly Drift really smooth to the last few turns there. And Golly Drift looking to get his first win ever in the Prototype Series. He's had an MEA win back in the MEA GT Championship Series. Looking for his first here in the Prototype Series. F4A Scott's looking for his first win of the season as well. Markey looking to go 2 for 2 back-to-back weeks. And HDR Daytona trying to redeem himself after a lot of problems throughout the season. But he's gonna have a huge run. Sorry for the stutter there. And this is where Daytona is gonna probably start reeling in. SSR Markey now. And looking to the inside of Markey, nothing there. You wonder if he could get around Markey here within a lap, could he chase down the 2 leaders? Daytona really smooth through that S's back there. And look at the acceleration on that Nismo. Here he comes. Scottson now starting to lose some distance on Golly Drift. And Forza glitching us there. 5 laps to go here. And with 4 laps to go here, we're going to find out if HDR Daytona can get around SSR Markey. But we might have a battle for the 5th position between drivers SSR Nick T and HDR Yuko now. Yuko, early incidents. He's found his way back up. Nick T, a little loose, cutting through the grass. Maintains the car. HDR Yuko trying to get to SSR Nick T. And it looks like Lucas McMee is off the racetrack and is out for this race, so he's the first DNF of the race. Unfortunate to see him not be able to finish the race, but Nick T starting to really struggle through some of these sections. And Nick T doing everything he can right now to stay in front of HCR Yuko, looking for his first top 5 finish of the season. Hasn't been able to make too many of the race, has been qualifying for points. HCR Yuko trying to get every position he can, the points leader. But right now he's got to get in front of a very, very sturdy, wouldn't say too sturdy, he's a little loose on and off, but pretty consistent Nick T, who's going to do everything he can to stay in that top 5. And HCR Yuko, he's now up there on him. It's Nick T and Yuko. So right now, only 1 lap left. SSR Nick T, the 5th place car, trying to hold off HCR Yuko. He's got to do this for 1 more lap after. And after both cycles of pit stops, there's only been 2 cars a lap down in this race, according to my screen. And that would be Lucas McMeans, who's actually out of the race, and GT500. I believe Eric Speed's the first car on the lead lap, which he is. Topher back up to 9th now after uncertain where he was for a while. And they're on the final lap. SSR and Godly Drift up to some lap cars. F. Scotson has nothing for him at this point unless something happens. Markey trying to hold on to 3rd. Daytona doing everything he can to get him. And right now Nick T holding off HCR Yuko. Final lap for everybody now. Well, for mostly everybody, the cars that we've talked about. Indianapolis, baby. This is what it's all about. But nothing but a fun race, a lot of battles. And we'll get back to these 2 drivers here momentarily, but we have to get up to the race leader, Godly Drift. As Yuko tries to track down Nick T, SSR Godly Drift coming off the final turn. He's won 1 race in MEA back in the GT prototype, or sorry, the GT series, and he'll get his first win here in Indianapolis in the MEA Prototype Challenge. And F. Scotson will finish 2nd. 3rd will be SSR Markey. 4th will be HCR Daytona after starting last. SSR Nick T now trying to hold off HCR Yuko. 1 turn to go. Yuko with early incidents got his way back inside the top 10. But now he's trying to get in the top 5. It looks like he has no answer for it. As they round the final turn, Nick T will hold off to get his first top 5 of the season here in the Prototype Challenge on MEA, and HCR Yuko finishing 6th. 7th will be, I believe, MNR Fujiwara, who's been holding off Ricky Bobby for probably the last 20 laps of the race. And Fujiwara will be running away here, finishing 7th, as Ricky Bobby will finish 8th. 9th, TX3 Topher said he wanted to finish where he qualified and will do just that. 10th will be Eric Speed, it looks like here. 11th, SSR Monster, as he is right behind GT500, who's a lap down. And Hold the phone there, folks, as we get our drivers of the top 5 here into the commentary booth. And what a race that was. So just take a minute here, ladies and gentlemen, as we pull in the drivers. Get to talk to them here momentarily. So we got a couple coming in now. So just give them a minute as we wait for 3 more drivers. We're waiting for Scottson and HDR Yuko. Also HDR Daytona, or I should say Markey, not Yuko. And I'm going to get my broadcast thing up so you guys can check the box. Alright, so we're waiting for 2 more drivers, and then we should be good to go here. GT500 Wills is the last car to go around, so we are waiting on him. And so we're going to wait here momentarily. The guys that are here already, make sure you click on your party and click on the check mark box in the party settings. And that should be it, ladies and gentlemen. All the drivers have crossed the line. And we should get Scottson and Daytona in here momentarily. And we'll get Yuko in here as well. He finished 6th after some early complications. So we'll bring him in here as well. And we should have everybody now. We have Daytona, Scottson, Nick T. And all you guys that just joined in, make sure you click on the check mark box in the party settings. We're also going to bring Yuko on in here if he pops on in for a minute. But we're going to get things underway here, and got to start with 5th place. SSR Nick T, and nice to have you, Nick T, here. I think this is your first top 5 of the season, and it was an interesting race for you. You were up front there battling for a little while, fell off the pace for the longest time. We weren't really sure where you were pit strategy-wise, but able to hold off HDR Yuko, the points leader there at the end, and it seemed like he was all over you the last 5 laps of that race. Just take us through him, and how do you feel about getting that top 5 finish here today?
Yeah, pretty excited to finish in the top 5 first time this year. That was really fun. Yeah, Yuko had the pace to keep it really interesting, and has that diesel car, so we can hit early and run a lot of laps. So just tried to keep my pace up, and then stay in front of him the last 10 laps. He was right behind me the rest of the way. It was a pretty fun race.
And you know, it seems like you've been missing a few races this season, but it's got to feel good to finally make one and get one in, and no better way to do it than get a top 5 finish out of it.
Definitely. Looking forward to seeing what these points do, moving me up the ladder. Yeah, this is only my 2nd race I've competed in so far this year, so should be a fun rest of the series. Hopefully should be able to make the rest of the races.
Well, congratulations on the top 5 here today, and we're looking forward to seeing you down the road here, so good job today.
Mm-hmm.
And moving up the ladder, HDR Daytona, one of the biggest stories early on this race. Daytona, you had to start from the back. You missed getting a qualifying time in. You told me before the race yesterday, you said, I'm excited about the challenge. I want to see what I can do from behind everybody. You know, we've seen you have some difficulties this season with disconnections, some early race incidents, and just last week a controller problem. You got one in here tonight. You were hard charging pretty much for the first quarter of the race. You got yourself inside the top 5 about midway. Did you feel like you had a good shot at possibly getting up there to the front? Because it just seemed like you were hard charging early on, but it seemed like you started to lose a little pace near the end of the race.
I'm very happy with how I got to the top 5, but I knew the likelihood of me getting a top 3 was slim. If I wanted the top 3, I would have had to set a qualifying time. But either way, I'm still very happy with the top 5.
You know, the Nismo really fast on the straightaways. It seemed like you you're having to put some extra work in through the midsection of the track, other than the back for the final S's and chicanes there. But nonetheless, top 5, starting rear of the field, definitely got to be happy for that. So congratulations nonetheless, but I'm sure you're a lot better than you were the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Well, nonetheless, congratulations on another a top 5 here today, Daytona. And moving up the ladder, probably a disappointing run. Nonetheless, SSR Markey finishing P3. Markey, not sure what happened to you. We were actually watching a battle throughout the race and came back to you after Scottson and Godley made their pit stops, and looked like you fell off a little bit. What happened?
Well, yeah, after my second pit stop, the 2 first lap that I did was a bit late, bad, and at turn 5 I just spin out and go in the gravel, so I lost a lot of time there. And after that, I was trying maybe to push a little bit more, and it was maybe not a good idea, so I was not having a good pace. But well, 3rd place is not too bad. We'll see. We'll see next week how it goes.
And you know, you saw Daytona in the rear view mirror, and he was sliding to try to take over that 3rd spot. Were you ever worried at that point?
Yeah, I was a bit worried. I was not consistent on my last lap, and he was coming so fast from the straight line. But well, I finished 3rd, so we'll see. We'll see next week how I can make that.
Well, congratulations, finishing the top 3, and moving on up the list, F48 Scottson, another top 5, another impressive run. You know, the Porsche is a little bit more of an acceleration on the jump start of the race, but it seemed like you were able to track down SSR Markey there near the beginning and about midway of the race. It seemed like you were starting to get a little ground on him, but you really had no time to relax. You had Godley drift all over the back bumper of you. It seemed like every time you got a little bit away from Godley, he found a way to close that gap. You stayed out after he made a 2nd pit stop. You gained quite a bit of ground, and then you were side by side with him going into turn 1, but looked like you got a little loose there.
It was an okay race, yeah. I did everything I could in the Peugeot, you know. And then 1.9s in the GTR especially were much more suited to this track, but overall it was a good race. I mean, there was some questionable stuff, but I'm not going to get involved in all that just now. Just see what happens. But yeah, happy with the 2nd place anyway.
Well, nonetheless, you know, we glad to see you making it back in the top 5 here, and it looked like you almost had one this week. And, you know, Godley Drift got you by a little bit there, but nonetheless, you know, as we said the weeks prior, you're probably looking forward to see what you pull up next week and seeing how the rest of the season unfolds.
Yeah, I think the car is looking more. It's going to be stronger, I think, in Magello, you know.
Oh, I agree.
Track's going to suit the car a bit more, so we'll see what happens next week.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Congratulations on another top 5 this week, 2nd place, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, man.
And your winner here at week number 5, getting his first prototype win of the season, his 2nd win in MEA, SSR Godley Drift. And Godley, you started a few positions further back from the leaders. You kind of sat behind Scottson for the longest time of the race, but you were able to finally get a pass on him, made a pit stop. You almost lost it when he came out of the pits, but were able to maintain the lead, and then you kind of got yourself away there at the end. You got to be happy with your first win of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Just in case, like every time like got kind of up to the back bumper of Scotsman, and just always either he defended very, very well, or I just made a wee mistake and then just fell off the back, and then just had to basically just try and get back up again. Back marker certainly helped in the first bit, just to regain a bit of ground. Just because I did fall off a bit, but it was certainly very close going into the first turn. I just thought if I can hang it around the outside, then hopefully I'll be able to get the inside for the next corner. And it worked out pretty well from there. Just got the head down.
And it seemed like you guys were actually catching Markey at one point of the race. It seemed like as the race started progressing halfway, like I told Scottson, it seemed like you guys were creeping up on Markey.
Yeah, I think it felt very much that Markey just kind of was just taking it, not like taking it easy, but like just not driving 100% all the time, just to try and just save the tires maybe a wee bit in case that he needed to attack a bit more. And it was very unfortunate to see him spin out. You never really want to lose or to gain a position with that, really. But
Well, nonetheless, you won here week number 5. Heading into next week, you're going to look forward to go back to back. Congratulations on the win here tonight.
thank you. Magellan's quite a good circuit for me.
And nonetheless, thank you all from the commentary booth, from the drivers. Glad to have you with us here tonight. We had quite a bit of people interacting throughout the chat. We head into Mugello week number 6. Looking forward to that. I appreciate everyone watching tonight, and we'll be back at MEA next week to see what might happen at Mugello. Thank you all. Have a great night.